Class, this is Brother Ben. So let's start with our opening prayer. May the wisdom of the all-compassionate one so shine within our hearts and minds this day that we may be enlightened in our acts, thoughts and deeds. So shall we learn to be true, good and happy, and attain the spiritual peace. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Buddhaya. Okay, grade 8, welcome in. So then we're going to go through Unit 1 now, and we're going to have a look at it. Appreciating the gift of family. Unit 1 talks about the intimate community of life and love, which is the family. Lessons follow a progressive pattern which defines the family, its role, importance, and its socio-political significance. Now, I've updated these so you always know which page this is referring to on the top right hand side. If there's a question to answer, you'll see a green box appear down here. That means that you need to do an answer and submit it, and I'll explain that. The lessons on the family will guide you in the following questions. Here we go. See that? See the green box down here? Answer and submit. And that means that you read the question and you reflect and consider about it. You can pause the video as well. You can take a screenshot of this screen you're looking at, and that PNG file, the screenshot, you open and you add text to, and you can fill it in this area down here. Clear? Use a slightly different color than the black for the question so that I can see your answer, like dark purple, dark red, dark blue, dark green. Okay? But one that can be easily read, and you just use a plain font. Okay? Why is the family considered as the basic unit of a society? Good? Okay, moving on. So you answer and then submit it on a PM to me. Bhante Venrakita Samanera. What are the contributions of our family to our physical, emotional, intellectual, and spiritual well-being? What are the contributions of our family to our physical, emotional, intellectual, and spiritual well-being? So put your answer and submit that one. That's 2 now. Okay. Every time you see this, there's one more to do. What can we do to have effective communication in our family? Hit the pause button, answer and submit that question and answer. So moving on. What are the things that we can do as a family to help solve social problems? Pause, answer and submit your answer. This unit showcases real-life examples of families that faced challenges and triumphed over them, how they persevered against poverty and homelessness with the help and support of other families. Furthermore, the unit highlights the virtues of cooperation, guidance, humility, justice, and their significance in establishing and maintaining highly effective, happy, and service-oriented families. So that's the end of the introduction on page 1. Now we're on to page 2. See that this will change color. Family is the basic unit of society. So a quote from George Moore. A man travels the world in search of what he needs and returns home to find it. It's about going out and then returning. From George Moore. So another one to answer and submit. Have you ever faced a problem so difficult that even your friends were not able to help you? In times like this, to whom do you go? For most adolescents, the response will be the family. So there's two questions there. Answer and submit. While it is true that many teenagers would rather solve their problems alone or with the help of their friends, it cannot be denied that, in dire circumstances, the family is still the best source of hope, guidance, and strength. It is from our family that we first experienced love and care, and discovered how it is to act in the community and the society. Next. We share with our family our hurts and joys, our defeats and victories, and more importantly, our hopes and dreams. Supper time is a great opportunity for family bonding. It's the get-together at the end of the day where each member shares his or her day's happenings. Father recounts an amusing situation in an office meeting. Mother relates her day at the market. Arete talks about her new professor. Kuya shares a funny joke. Bunso shares the silver star she got for behaving well in class. And if it's an extended family, should be, aunts, uncles, and grandparents also chime in. It is usually a happy meal, as each looks forward to it for the food and the familial conversation. Of course, it's not always a joyful event. Father may share a lingering problem at work, or mother complains of the rising prices of food. Arete is having problems with her boyfriend. Kuya tells of his difficulty with his math subject, and Bunsa complains that her seatmate took her pencil. At the end of the day, literally and figuratively, it is in the family that we get a ready listening ear, a shoulder to cry on, and unconditional love and support. So, question for you to answer and submit. Just how important is the family to you? So let's read together the story of Hussein and Grace and discover the cradle of love. We're on to page 3. Victories of Life, the Cradle of Love. New York, USA. It is winter. That means that every day is very cold and there will be snow. Daylight is also shortened, since the sun rises at 7:30 in the morning and sets at 4:30 in the afternoon. It's very early. The Arctic breeze blows an unwelcoming chill to all who set foot outside their heated homes. Hussein, a young man who 2 years ago left the Philippines to work in the United States, inspected his watch and noted that it was 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Outside, the street lamps were already lit, which cast a yellow glow on the snow-covered street. I still have enough time, Hussein told himself. It was already dark, and the temperature today was at minus 11 degrees Celsius. He rubbed his aching lower back and massaged his sore shoulders. He stomped his heavy winter boots to relax his tired feet. Hussein looked at the old man lying on the bed. Good night, Sir Alfred. Hussein cheerfully bid the old gentleman goodbye. Hussein had been working as Mr. Alfred's caregiver for the past year. Despite the long hours, back-breaking work, he was very thankful for the opportunity to work in the land of milk and honey. It was the only way to save his daughter's life. Hussein left the spacious and warm home of Mr. Alfred and quickly walked towards his car parked on the street. He shivered in the biting cold and rubbed his gloveless hand. Before going inside the car, he removed most of the snow covering the windshield. He looked at the ice on the asphalt and reminded himself that he must drive slowly and carefully. Mirella, please wait for me. Tatai and Nanai will be with you soon, Hussein mumbled to himself. He said a short prayer and drove home to the next city to pick up his wife, Grace. After an hour of driving, Hussein arrived at his place. Grace quickly went out of their house and sprinted towards the vehicle. Were you able to sleep well? Hussein asked his wife as she entered the car. Yes, thank you. I was able to eat lunch. The fried chicken you cooked this morning was delicious, Grace replied, kissing her husband and then fastening her seatbelt. Grace is a Filipina who is a registered nurse in the USA. She works in a nursing home. Every day her work is from 11 o'clock in the evening until 7 o'clock in the morning. Going on to page 4. That is good to hear. Hopefully, Mirella is still awake when we arrive, Hussein replied as he started the car. I hope so too. I already miss her, Grace answered. Despite the long working hours, the miserable weather, and the lack of enough sleep, Hussein and Grace never failed to visit their daughter Mirella at Valhalla's Children's Hospital. 2 years ago, Mirella was born with a congenital respiratory condition. That means she cannot breathe without an oxygen ventilator. She has been confined in a hospital ever since. Although her health has significantly improved over the past year, Mirella still needs to be weaned off the oxygen ventilator and breathe on her own. She has received expert medical attention from the doctors and nurses in Valhalla Children's Hospital. But Hussein and Grace believe that their daughter also needs parental care. That is, they want Mirella to know and feel that she is deeply loved by her parents and will gladly accept numerous sacrifices for her to be well. Hussein and Grace dream of bringing Mirella home. They want to play with her, see her running at the playground and chase other children, teach her how to dance and walk with her to school. Yet for now, Mirella must stay bedridden at the hospital. It breaks Hussein and Grace's hearts to see Mirella in such a condition. However, they are also willing to go to the ends of the world just to shower Mirella with love and care. It was already 7 a.m. when Hussein and Grace arrived at the hospital. They presented themselves to the guard, who gave them a parent visitor guard. They found Mirella awake and contentedly playing with her windmill toy. Hussein smiled and quickly washed his hand before carrying his daughter and Mirella a warm kiss. It is good to see you, Anak. I love you, Hussein whispered to his daughter's ear. Mirella lovingly looked at her father. She brushed her small and tender hand on Hussein's face and sweetly smiled. Suddenly, Hussein felt a sudden rush of emotion that eased the pain on his back and loosened his stiff muscles. Hello, love, Grace softly spoke to her beautiful daughter. I missed you. Grace also kissed Mirella and lightly pinched her daughter's chubby cheeks. Grace, being the highly capable nurse that she is, checked the vital signs of Mirella. Seeing that all was well, she proceeded to get Mirella's dirty clothes from the hamper and brought them to the laundry room. Grace wanted Mirella's clothes to be always soft, fragrant, and looking nice. While waiting for the clothes to dry, Grace walked back to Mirella's room and took out a storybook from her bag. Mirella loves to look at pictures and listen to stories. Grace sat next to Hussein, who was carrying Mirella, and animatedly read to her daughter a short story and recited some nursery rhymes. Like Hussein, Grace felt that every second spent with Mirella is time well spent. Their tender moment as a family, despite being limited by the four corners of the hospital room, is very precious. It is a time wherein Mirella, Hussein, and Grace are all together in a cradle of love. A lovely story. Yeah? So that's the end of the Cradle of Story Love on page 4. So I just want to process that then. Class, everyone has, this isn't written down, this is just for you to listen and think. Everyone has the skills and capabilities to be successful, and it is important that you see this. The same is true even for people with physical challenges. Also, it is important to be guided by a supportive and encouraging family during this important stage in your life. Here's a question for you. See the green box? So remember to pause, take a screenshot, and add your text as an answer to the question. What is this story all about? The story is about Mirella and her parents, who despite her congenital respiratory condition, were able to live a happy life. Mirella is anchored to the love, support, encouragement, and understanding of her parents. Another question for you. Hit the pause button, take a look, have a think, reflect, even look back to the story. How did Mirella's family help her live? Answer and submit. So a good answer might look something like this. They worked very hard to support her medication and give the love that Mirella needs. But you can put your own style answer, that's okay. And what is the lesson of the story? Hit pause, do your answer. There's not just one, there's several. We can face life's difficulties and achieve our dreams with strong support and love coming from our family. Hit the pause. How can you relate the story in your own life? You can answer and submit after a screenshot. I like a variety of answers actually, but what is important is positive self-worth, an encouraging family, and the value of hard work. Okay, let's discuss. This story tells us that at this stage in your life, you need to view yourselves in a positive light. And if you work hard for your dreams, you will attain them. You should cooperate with your family, value your family members, and be a source of encouragement and support for everyone. I'd like to ask you to answer the reflection questions on page 5. So just before, I just want to say that when it says let's discuss, you can also chip in some ideas underneath this as well, underneath here. You can put your own ideas here and also submit that because it says let's discuss. Yeah? I'd like to ask you to answer the reflection questions on page 5 coming up. Then I'll be soliciting some volunteers to share your answers. So that's going to be after the closing prayer. So those of you who wish to can continue on. Those who wish to take a pause at this point, this is at where I would be needing to take a pause during the making of the video because we have something temple duties to do, and then continuing on. But you can just carry on through. You don't have to stop here. I'll be doing a closing prayer as I'm closing the video, but you can continue on with the next video if you're still in class time or you're just on a workflow. Reverently do we pray to Thee, the Holy and Perfect One. We earnestly resolve to understand Thy teaching and to daily tread Thy path. So shall, like Thee, we may attain the peace of Nirvana. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Buddhaya. So Brother Ben, and that should also say grade 8, not grade 10. Or it should have nothing, a grade on the closing prayer. Okay, take care. See you next time.